Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Data Europa Academy webinar. My name is Flora Copellu, and I will be today's moderator. I work for the Publications Office of the EU on data.europa.eu, the official portal for European data. So this is our last webinar before the summer break, and I hope everyone joining us today is very energized and ready to learn more about the Open Data Maturity Report 2022. So for those that are not familiar with the report, it is based on a self-assessment survey which measures the level of open data maturity among the EU countries against 4 different dimensions: the policy, the impact, the quality, and the portal dimension. So this will be the 3rd webinar in this series of webinars that we have started here in Data Europa Academy, and it will guide you through the insights and the main takeaways of this study and present to you the best practices from different participating countries. So our first webinar was held in March, and we provided it in an overview of what the Open Data Maturity Report entails. The second webinar took place in April, where we highlighted the quality dimension, where Slovenia and Ukraine shared their best practices on this dimension. And as you can imagine today from the title of the webinar, we are going to focus on the portal dimension. And why we do that, as you already know, European countries have national data portals in place, and they do so to enable people to easily find openly available data sets. So they hold an important position in Europe's data strategy and by facilitating access to and reuse of open data. So today you will see we will share best practices in this webinar, and we will showcase the many ways to improve in these dimensions. And for further information also, I encourage you all to go through the Open Data Maturity Report of 2022 to see in more detail the results. We will share the link shortly with you via the chat, and also encourage you to read our new data story on the country's perspective on the respective dimension. So before we move to today's agenda and introducing our speakers, because I'm not alone today, as you can see, I would like to take a moment to share with you the rules of today's webinar. This webinar will be recorded, and the recording and presentation will be both available on Data Europa Academy. And if you registered for today's webinar, that I guess all of you have registered, you will also receive a follow-up mail with all this information. Please also do take 3 minutes after the webinar to answer a survey. This is very much beneficial for us as it will make us further improve the content that we're sharing with you. And lastly, for any questions you might have, I already see you going through the chat, so feel free to use the chat throughout the session. We will make sure to answer directly via the chat or during the Q&A session. So, as previously mentioned, today I'm not alone. I have the chance to have different experts on open data, starting with Natalia Rosbro, my colleague from the Publications Office of the EU, and one of the main responsible behind the Open Data Maturity Report. So welcome, Natalia. We have Tana Lee. Tana is the data editor of the French platform for open data. She's responsible for defining the portal's editorial strategy and in charge of promoting datasets as well as their use so as to foster discoverability and impact. So welcome also, Tana. And lastly, we also have Konrad Libera. Konrad is Chancellor at the Ministry of Digital Affairs in Poland. As a member of the Polish Open Data team, he monitors the functioning of the Polish portal and coordinates the implementation of new functionalities, as well as verifies and analyzes data on the portal. So welcome to all 3 of you, and I'm looking forward to see your presentations today. So, moving on to today's agenda, as you have already noticed, we have started with a short introduction. Following this, Natalia will help us to deep dive further into the portal dimension, providing us with additional information related to the results of the Open Data Maturity Report. Then both Tana and Konrad will each have 25 minutes approximately to share with us the best practices on the portal dimension from France and Poland. And then we will open the floor to you and your questions. So during the Q&A session and throughout the whole session, you can share questions via the chat regarding the Open Data Maturity Report results on the portal dimension or the practices shared by our two experts coming from France and Poland. So without further ado, Natalia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Flora, so much. Can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear you.
So hello, everybody. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this webinar on the portal dimension. I'm Natalia Rozbroj-Jasinska, working for the Publications Office of the European Union, as mentioned by Flora, and in particular for data.europa.eu portal. Today, I will introduce to you briefly the yearly Open Data Maturity Assessment exercise. It is a flagship exercise and report produced by Publications Office together with DG Connect. And it's a tool to assess the maturity of the member states and beyond in the open data field. The open data maturity has been measured since 2015. It's indeed annual benchmarking exercise based on self-assessment of the countries. And the representatives of national open data teams are yearly asked to fill in the questionnaires, the extensive questionnaires with a lot of questions which are ordered according to 4 dimensions of maturity. The report is published by the Publications Office of the European Union and the DG Connect, who is responsible for developing the use overall open data policy and legislation. The latest edition assesses the open data maturity level of 35 countries, including 27 EU member states, but also Iceland, Norway, Switzerland, and 4 candidate countries that are Albania, Montenegro, Serbia, and Ukraine. And we also assess maturity of Bosnia and Herzegovina. The assessment measures open data maturity, in fact, against 4 indicators. It's the policy indicator, focusing more on the policy and strategies in the countries, the impact indicator, monitoring and measuring open data use and its impact in the countries, the quality indicator, focusing on a mechanism that ensures the quality of metadata. And as Flora mentioned, we hosted already a webinar on this dimension. And finally, the portal dimension, which we will be unleashing a little bit more today, assessing the national portal features that enhance accessibility and support interaction within open data community. So for the member states, the Open Data Directive sets the framework for open data activities and directs member states towards establishing their national open data portals. And data.europa.eu, which we are representing, is a provider of a central point of access to European data. It's an official point of access to datasets of, in fact, national, regional, but also of EU institutions' datasets. The last webinar on the quality dimension, I just advise you, if you didn't see it, to watch it. There is a very nice introduction done by my colleague Julia with a really deep dive into overall scores of the portals. I will just go briefly now to mention that in 2022, the average open data maturity score is high for EU 27 countries, is about 75%. It's for the all dimensions. Policy is the most mature dimension by 82%, and it's followed by the portal 79% of maturity. France and Ukraine are the leaders in the overall scores for all the dimensions with 97% and 96%, but also many other countries are actually scoring very high, over 90%. The portal dimension, I will jump to the portal dimension, as I mentioned, for the deep dive into the countries. I really invite you to listen to the previous webinar. So the portal dimension assesses the maturity of the national open data portals based on several criteria grouped into 4 indicators. And that are portal features, portal usage, data provision, and portal sustainability. The portal features are focusing on seeing if portals provide functionalities enabling users to discover and to access open data, and the functionalities which facilitate the interaction between stakeholders. So in terms of discoverability, the questionnaire is really asking and trying to understand if advanced data search features are present on the portals, such as filters, if search by file format is available, and the data domain, if APIs and Sparkle endpoints are implemented, if metadata is richly represented on the portals, but also to look a little bit from the other side. So if these features are accompanied also by news and information, if use cases are published, and if the requests from users are also present on the portal in the transparent way. In terms of accessibility and access to data, again, we are looking at if APIs are available with a rich documentation, if other tools are present on the portals, previews and visualization of data, especially tabular and spatial data. Also, it's a new field of investigation if high-value datasets are planned to be published on the portals in line with the Commission implementing regulation, which has been adopted just recently. Then also if data downloads are available. And in terms of interaction, we are looking at if there are such functionalities allowing ratings, feedback mechanisms at the dataset level as well, if publishers but also users can publish data, submit their use cases, or share other information. Also news on open data topics, dataset notifications, and other mechanisms. So this is a very rich, actually, indicator, which is the most voluminous in terms of indicators we are measuring inside portal feature. Then for portal usage, it's more about web analytics, understanding user needs and behaviors. So it's about traffic on the portal in terms of visitors, downloads, human and machine access. We are looking at such things like if top datasets are being evaluated and measured, if API usage is monitored. In terms of data provision, it's the open data coverage of the portal in terms of publishers who are identified by the national portals, so that are regional sources and local sources publishing datasets on the portals, but also if the data coverage covers the different domains of data. And for portal sustainability, we look at the long-term strategies of the countries and at the development cycle of the portals. So as you see, it is really rich assessment of this dimension. And coming now to the results of this year, the average score for EU27 countries is very high. It's at 83%, is unchanged from the previous year. But we can notice a significant rise compared to, for example, to 2018. So it is about 20% improvement for the countries in this dimension. We see that countries are really improving and growing a lot in the recent years. France and Poland, who are today with us, are absolutely stars in this dimension. France scored 100% in the portal dimension. Poland as well scored at almost 100% in this dimension. But we see that also other portals, about 13 portals, are already above 90% scoring in this dimension, meaning that actually the portals are really mature and are covering most of the features I was mentioning before. From non-EU member states countries, Ukraine and Norway are also scoring above 90%, so are being very mature portals to learn from. And Belgium and Finland improved really a lot this year. So they have the biggest raise in this dimension in the last year. Just a few days ago, we published the open data story at data.europa.eu. I'm warmly inviting you to go and see the story. It is summarizing the portal dimension again, but also it features use cases of Cyprus, Denmark, and France, who are sharing their know-hows for their portals. In general, we can say that because the portals are really mature, so it is important to see where maybe are extra miles to go for the further growth. And from what we learned from Cyprus, Denmark, and France, we can see that for portal features, it's not only about, in fact, search, even advanced search, but it's about going extra mile to create exploration tools for datasets and for data, and to provide a lot of contextualization information. So it's still a struggle for the users to understand our data, and such accompanying materials, editorial materials like blog articles, newsletters, use cases, educational material, visualizations are really helping to navigate the users further to our data and foster reuse. In terms of portal usage, we learn again that it's not only about analyzing portals and involving the insights into new development cycles, but it's also about directly engaging users via data events, conferences, workshops, social media activities. So trying to really profile and know the users. That's what the countries are also doing. In terms of data provision, it's now also more about extending data sources and involving users in participating actively in reviewing quality of metadata or publishing their processed datasets. So it's really going beyond governments and involving non-governmental organizations, NGOs, companies, and so on. In terms of portal sustainability, it's still a lot about the national strategies, which ensure funding and long-term perspective for the portals. But as also very much underlined by Denmark, it's also about metadata and good quality metadata. So metadata remains a really important pillar for all indicators, because it is reliable service for the future based on good quality metadata. And finally, it's really about building an impactful service, as Franz will show us. So with this brief introduction into the dimensions, I give back floor to Flora, and I'm really keen to listen to our colleagues from France and Poland for a deep dive.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Natalia. As I have already seen, you have received some few questions. Feel free if you wanted to answer throughout the chat, or we will try to tackle them in the end of the session. Let me see. Okay. So It was super interesting to see this introduction, and it's also great to see how much the improvement has been throughout the past few years in this dimension, and it's clearly showcasing also how important are the open data portals. As mentioned by you, Natalia, France is one of the countries that perform extremely well across all dimensions, as well as in the portal dimension. So today we have Tana with us to share with us some more insights about the French portal. So Tana, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and hi everyone. Today I'm really happy to be able to present you how the French open data team is trying to keep on improving its portal, that is data.gouv.fr, and I will call it DataGouv during my presentation as it will be easier for me. I really hope that it will be interesting for you and that it will start a discussion for us to all share our best practices together. So maybe to start with a quick word about myself. Flora has already introduced me, but then again, I'm Tana. I'm the data editor of the DataGouv platform. So that means that I'm responsible for defining the platform's editorial strategy. And I am thus in charge of promoting the datasets and the releases that we have on the platform. I work in a department called the Direction interministérielle du numérique in France, which is the department where DataGouv is developed and the department in charge of France's digital strategy. And we are under the Prime Minister authority. So what's on for today? As I've already introduced it earlier, today I wanted to give you a little overview of what the French open data team considers as its best practices and what we think are the reasons behind our good performance in the open data maturity assessment. But I think it will also be interesting to talk about the challenges that we meet and the areas for improvement that we have identified and that we would like to work on. So maybe first, it might be interesting for you to have a quick overview of DataGouv. As I will dive deeper into our platform specificities a bit later in my presentation, I thought that it might be interesting to provide you with some key figures that will help you assess the extent of our activities. So today on the platform, we have 46,000 data sets that are on topics as wide as health, transportation, food, environment, or even energy. This figure is not an end in itself, but I think it's still interesting, but we have still other ways to measure impact of our platform. All those data sets are published by 4,000 organizations. Those are so we have, of course, public sector organizations that publish on DataGouv, but we also have organizations from the private sector or organizations from the civil society or even citizens. And that's one specificity of our platform, that everyone can publish on it. Not only that everyone can publish datasets on the platform, but people can also publish reuses and link them to the datasets that have been reused. So we have 3,500 reuses referenced on the platform, and they really help us understand and measure the impact that open data have. And it's also a way for data providers to know what people do with the data, and it opens a dialogue between data providers and data reusers. And it's in that sense that we have 12,000 discussions opened on the platform. And last but not least, we have 100,000 users on the platform. So now maybe we can hop on the first key ingredient for us for a good open data platform. And for us, it's a dedicated team. So our team in France is really committed to improving the platform, to developing new features and enhancing new ones, like existing ones, and to fix any issues that like users like talk to us about. What is specific about our team is that like the way we're organized, we have half of us which are more on the product side and half of us who are more on the technical side. So on the product side, we have one product owner, we have me, who is the data editor, we have one business developer and one UI and one UX designer. And for the tech side, I think it's structured like as it's generally structured, but we have one lead developer, one front developer, one backend developer, two data engineers, and one DevOps. And our team leader is the lead data engineer. And what is interesting is that we, on the product side, we really make sure that that the users' needs are really listened to and considered when we make decisions. And we all closely work together, like both sides. We work in an agile manner, so we can always adapt to users' needs, as I was saying. And in terms of organization, we work following 2-week sprints with a transparent backlog. And we always test our hypothesis and the new features with a pool of beta testers to make sure that we always go in the right direction. As I was saying, like the product development is prioritized and adjusted according to users' feedbacks, but we still have a general strategy and a clear vision of where we want to go with the like medium-term and long-term guidelines. Maybe one illustration of how a team works is that every 4 to 6 months, we hold a public demonstration where we present what we have been working on in the past few months and what we want to work on the during the next few months. And then we engage on a discussion with the participants to get feedbacks and maybe to know a little bit more what they expect for the future. So now I would like to present you some of the best practices we're proud of on the different indicators that Natalia has presented, and which are the ones of the Open Data Maturity Assessments, which are portal features, portal usage, and data provision. So in terms of features, we have 3 advanced features that we would like to put a stress on and that were highly demanded by our users. They were thought and developed to improve data quality, data discoverability, and data understanding. So the first one is explorer.data.gouv.fr, which is a tool that enables preview on tabular datasets. So it really helps every user to gain insights on the data and to better understand its quality and its context, namely in the case where like the documentation on the dataset is a bit lacking. So with this tool, it's possible to filter like the fields, to operate, to compute some statistical operations, or to even sort the fields, and like a lot more features that you can discover and that really help you dive, have a first dive on the data. For instance, like if I can give an example, like the Ministry of Education in France has published a dataset on the social position index of primary schools, middle schools, and high schools. So if you put the link of the CSV on this tool, you can quickly look for the high school you went to and check its social position index, and then compare it with others, for example. The other feature I wanted to talk about today is the metadata quality score that we have implemented. We implemented this quality score because we noticed that data reusers often had struggled to really assess the quality of the data sets that they find. And we also saw that data providers were not encouraged or supported in improving the quality of the data. So now we have this metadata quality score that data providers can use to identify the areas where they can improve themselves in terms of quality of their data. So this metadata quality score is based on a set of criteria such as completeness, accuracy, or timeliness. And last but not least, and it's the feature that I'm working personally the most on, those are the editorial features. So we'll really try to improve the data discoverability on the platform, and to make sure that data reusers are guided towards the most relevant data quite effectively. So what we do, for instance, is that we establish lists of curated datasets on relevant topics. We also publish monthly selections of relevant datasets and reuses for everyone to be able to discover the newly published data on the platform. We also write blog articles, we run social media campaigns, and we send newsletters. And now, like the main thing I want to work on is that I want like all this editorialization and editorial features to be further integrated on the platform, and not be like kind of external and then presented on the platform. So for the next dimension, portal usage, what we do is that we use both quantitative and qualitative methods to better understand users' behaviors and users' needs. So in parallel, we analyze portal usage statistics. So for instance, we follow metrics such as visits, the most consulted data sets, the number of downloads, and we can also observe like the behavior on the website. And this, for instance, allowed us to know that we have around 600,000 visits per month on average on the platform. So we also regularly run interviews with users and stakeholders, and we launch surveys. We namely have an annual survey that allows us to know better who our users are and to follow the evolution over time. So like this annual survey allows us to know that we have about like 1/3 of our users who are more like data experts, but we also have 1/3 of our users who are more like curious citizens. And another thing that we wanted to know and that we looked for in running this survey is that we want to know like the level of data expertise that our users have. And so thanks to the survey, we found out that around 25% of our users have good data processing skills, but we also have 25% of our users who are quite like novices. And we also found out that like the respondents to our survey, like 60% of them go on the platform to download and use data, and there's still like a significant amount, which is 30% of them who come for like to quickly search for information, even though DataGouv is like a raw data platform and not like a platform that presents information per se. And as I was like explaining to you earlier, we still always adapt to our users' profiles and needs. And as we found out that like a significant part of our users are curious citizens, and that a significant part of them are actually looking for information, what we implemented is that we now put banners on the most consulted data sets and the most important ones that directs those curious citizens towards relevant reuses and services. So everyone who comes to the platform can actually gain value, even regardless of the expertise they have or the familiarity with data that they have. And the last indicator of the open data maturity assessment I wanted to mention today is the data provision one. So as you may know, and as I've already said it earlier, one of the specificity of our platform is that everyone can publish on it. And we think that this unique aspect has really contributed to the success of the platform, as like a really diverse range of users can contribute to it. But what we do besides this to make sure that the content and the datasets on the platform is still relevant and not inappropriate is that within the team we have people, including myself, who monitors on a daily basis all the published datasets and reuses, and we carry out a curation work, which means that we get rid of the content that we consider as inappropriate. And we also like check the data sets and provide the data providers with the feedbacks so they can improve the quality of the data. And to make sure that the data quality is good enough, we also provide assistance to data providers. And so following the needs that they have, it can go from providing them with resources and guidelines in the shape of handbooks for them to learn how to improve their data quality, or to like basically use the platform. But it can also be individual support when they need it, as in our team we have a person who is the business developer whose job is really to assist the users on the platform, and so namely data providers. In terms of data provision, in France, we have a lot of open data portals besides the national portal that is DataGouv. So there can be central government portals, regional government portals, or local government portals. And there's even this study that has been published recently that has revealed that we have about like 250 local government portals in France. And what we do is that many of them are harvested on DataGouv, and the data is reference on the platform. So to conclude, because there's always room for improvement, I wanted to mention what can still be improved for us on the platform. So on this slide, I'm presenting our goals, but there are also our main challenges, and I think that all the teams that are managing open data portals can relate and like might share the same challenges. But what we want to do is that we want to further simplify data discoverability, which means that we want to make sure that people that come on on the DataGouv platform find the datasets that they were looking for and that they are able to discover relevant datasets that they did not know. We also want to further improve data quality. And last but not least, we also want to promote the use of open data. And to do so, we have had like some ideas that we thought might be interesting. So first, we thought that it might be interesting to further improve the communication between data providers and data reusers, because a lot of data reusers told us that it was still hard for them to find answers to the data related questions that they had, because like quite simply, like data providers were not answering the questions. So we thought that it might be interesting to improve the comment section and the notification system on the platform. To further upgrade our portal, we also think that it could be nice to offer geospatial data visualization. And it could also be nice to harvest more open data portals because as I said it before, we really do have a lot in France. Another thing that could be interesting is to provide a more personalized experience on the platform according to the user's profile. Like if you're a data provider or a data reuser or just like someone looking for information, it could be nice to have personalized recommendations or customized dashboards or even user-specific notifications. And one thing of value, namely to improve data quality that we thought about and that we have already started to work on to upgrade the platform is we want to improve the data publication process. So like here you have a teaser of what we might implement in the next few months. So what we want to do is to provide a more user-friendly interface for data providers for them to upload, to document, and to publish the data on the platform. And we think that it might really help with data quality on the platform. So we think that there are like so many things we can think about and work on to improve the portal, and we have a lot of ideas that have also been suggested and demanded by our users, and we really cannot wait to work on them, but there are a lot of things to do. So yeah, I think that will be it for my presentation, and I want to thank you for listening to me, and I want to thank again data.europa for inviting France to present our portal.
Thank you so much, Dana. Thank you. Really, it was very interesting. As you have seen, there has been a whole discussion created on the background based on the insights that you have provided to us. But no worries, we will tackle these questions in the end of the session. So now we will give the floor to Konrad. As you have seen, Poland has also had a very good performance, a great performance across all dimensions, as well as in the portal dimension. So, Konrad, we're looking forward to hear more of what you're working on the Polish Open Data Portal. So the floor is yours.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting Poland to present the data portal and our best practices. I'm very pleased to participate in this webinar. I work in in Ministry of Digital Affairs in Open Data team, and here's my presentation plan. At the beginning, I will briefly present how Poland ranks against other countries in Open Data Maturity survey. In the next stage, I will discuss how the Polish data portal is constructed. And in the third part, I will tell about our best practices, thanks to which the portal has achieved such a high place. And at the end, I will present some actions aimed at the future, which will allow us to maintain such a good position. So first, how Poland is compared in other countries. And as you can see, Poland was ranked third in the Open Data Maturity 2022. This is a good result that puts us in the trendsetters group. When it comes to the portal dimension, we took second place, so it's even better. And as you can see, only 6 points were missing to reach total of 650 points, and these were in portal features and data provision. We are still working to get the maximum number here. And this good current position was not achieved right away. The chart shows how Poland has systematically advanced from the group of fast trackers to the group of trendsetters over the last years. And this progress is a result of the hard work of entire open data team in cooperation, of course, with data providers. And after this short introduction, I will now move to the second part of the presentation, which is portal presentation. And the Polish Open Data Portal is available at website dane.gov.pl. Oh, here you can see the address. And the construction of the portal is based on tabs, as you can see on the slide. From the home page, you can quickly find the data. So the main feature of this tab is the search bar. Next, we have the data tab, and this is the most important part of the portal, because here you can search, view, and download data. The search bar is more advanced than in the home page. You can search by specific word, by word phrase, and other word combinations. And here we have also the Sparkle search engine. This is for advanced users, and that means that searching can be made for metadata or data in RDF database. Another important feature of the data tab is advanced data filtering. You can use 14 defined filter categories, and the most important of them are filters such as data category, data publisher, or data format. You can also filter high value data and dynamic data. And speaking of data formats, I want to show you statistics on the most common file formats on our portal. And as you can see, CSV format dominate, and it is followed by XLSX and JSON LD. So I think it's a really good result. On the data tab, we have also promoted data feature. These data are highlighted, and they are shown at the top of the page and marked with phrase promoted data and placed in blue frame. So as you can see on the slide, all the data here are promoted. And promoted data are matched with can be matched with a specific time period. For example, we can decide that at the beginning of the school year, we can promote data about schools, pupils, and teachers. Next, we have a publisher section, and users here can view data by specific data provider. And data providers are divided into three categories, and these are public governments, many ministries, government agencies, central offices. Then we have local government, and these are municipalities, powiats, and voivodeships. So it's the local and regional level of Poland's administrative. And the third category here, and this is a private sector. These are companies, and this can be, of course, international companies or Polish companies. And as you can see, public government providers dominate. And next tab, it's po co to. The name translated literally means what's that for? And here you can see reuse of open data. So what's that for? No, it's a funny name to say that. And in this tab, you can see examples of public data usage in applications, in products, and in services. And these products can be created by public and private sector and for commercial and non-commercial use. Products are grouped into three categories. You can see on the slide, these are applications, websites, and other products. And the reuse examples are submitted by portal users. And it should be noted that each published reuse product is linked to the data that the suppliers used to create it. So here on the left is some product, reuse product, and below there are related data sets. And next we have a news tab. We publish here interesting information related to data opening, and this includes, for example, changes in the law or updates of materials on the portal. Here you can also see upcoming events related to open data, and these events can be reported by institutions and by any users, in fact. And we, the open data team, review those submissions and post them on the portal. And here in the upcoming events, you can see, you can find also Data Europe webinars. And today's webinar also was posted there. The next tab, the last tab of the portal, is a knowledge base. And users will find there a lot of materials related to open data. So I will only mention a few of them. First of all, regulations. And these are really important because these are the basis for the functioning of the portal. So we have our main law, which is called Act on Open Data and Reuse of Public Sector Information. And this law implements European Union directive with the same title. There is also an executive regulation to the Polish Act called Regulation of the Council of Ministers on the Data Portal. And another important document published here is resolution of the Council of Ministers on the data opening program for the years 2021-2027. And this document describes the data opening strategy for this 7-year period. And other important documents published in knowledge base tab are data standards. We have 4 data standards, and these are API standard, technical standard, legal standard, and security standard. Next, here you can find some guides and analysis. For example, there's a very useful guide for data providers that instructs them step by step how to share data on the portal. And in multimedia section, you can watch educational videos. You can learn about open data and gain practical skills on how to prepare data in open format, for example. We have several dozens of such short videos. And now I will quickly turn to the third part of the presentation, so selected best practices. And these practices can be organizational, such as a network of open data officers, or these practices can be also of a technical nature, such as data validation or verification. There are also other features as well important as the technical and organizational. And these are, for example, data visualization, data categories, suggesting new data by users, or data newsletter. Okay, and I will of course tell about all of them. I decided that at the beginning it is necessary to say about open data officers, because without them the portal would not function so well. And officers are appointed in ministries, in Chancellery of the Prime Minister, and in Central Statistical Office. They operate in accordance with the Polish law. So I was talking about this law, Act of Open Data and Reuse of Public Sector Information. And they implement actions to increase data quality and raise the awareness of employees of their institutions in the field of data openness. Another important role of open data officers is participating in preparation of data sharing schedules. And these schedules are developed every 6 months, so twice a year, and they are implementing a data opening program. The main goal is here to improve the quality and the distribution of data on the portal. These schedules include new data and can also increase the level of openness of already published data. And the last thing about the open data officers is forum. We have forum for them. Thanks to this forum, they stay in touch with each other and also with us, with Open Data team in Ministry of Digital Affairs. Now I will move to more technical topics, and first I will talk about metadata and data validation process. So in Poland, metadata is regulated in our main act on open data and reuse of public sector information. The portal's algorithm can check if the required metadata is completed by data providers, because some metadata is mandatory to provide. Therefore, the algorithm ensures the data are of good quality on our portal. The data validation process takes place when users upload files on the portal, and this process consists of 3 stages. First, the algorithm checks if the data can be downloaded, and this is the link validation. Second stage is a file validation, so the file format is checked there. Third stage is data validation, and here the algorithm checks if the structure and quality of data allow to show the tabular view. And tabular view is the preview of data directly on the portal. So users don't have to download the data to show, to look at them, but they can see the data on the portal. And information about the validation results is visible in 3 columns, as you can see on the slide. And when the validation process is positive, it is possible to automatically convert files to CSV and JSON LD. And the files that can be converted these are 2 formats, XLS and XLSX. This automatic conversion is performed while users are adding data to the portal. Okay. And one more technical feature. This is data type change. Portal has a built-in algorithm that allows providers change the data type for columns in their files. So there can, for each column, decide what is the date type, like something like in Excel files when you upload and can decide what is the column type. And this feature ensures the correct presentation of data on portal, and the data can be displayed as a tabular view. And similarly to the data type change, uploaders can check the data compatibility with the technical standard. The data can be verified based on selected built-in rules. And also here, for each column of the file, such a rule can be applied. And after verification, users see a message with the result. And of course, the result can be positive or negative. And in case of the negative verification, user is informed where exactly in the file the error occurs, and user can correct it and upload the file again. The next slide, I will tell about data harvesting. And the data harvesting can be defined as the process of extracting valuable data from external sources such as websites and platforms. And by harvesting data, our national portal becomes a kind of aggregator of smaller regional portals. And the portal algorithm automatically downloads metadata from those regional portals, and the metadata is available on our portal. But the source data are still stored on regional portals, so only metadata is downloaded. And at the moment, data is being harvested from some local government publishers. One of them you can see on the slide, and this is a Gdańsk city from which we harvest data. Another important functionality of the portal is data visualization on charts and maps. The chart can be defined by data provider, or can be defined by user. Users can create a chart according to their own criteria, and 6 types of charts can be created. And for example, there are line chart, column chart, or scatter chart. And here on the slide, you can see the example of a column chart. And this chart is created by a data provider. And next, we have also possibility to visualize data in form of maps. files that are in a shapefile format are visualized automatically, and other files can be visualized using the option Maps and Charts in Administration panel. And the data uploader can define maps in two ways. First way is a map defined as on the basis of geographical coordinates. So the columns must contain longitude, latitude, and label. And second way of creating maps is defined on the basis of address data. In this case, columns in the data file must contain city, postal code, and label. Another feature of our portal is data categories. Data categories are presented on the portal in the form of tiles, as you can see on the slide, and cover the main thematic areas. These are, for example, education, energy, population, and so on. And one of such a category is Ukraine. Due to the arrival of a large number of people from Ukraine during the last year, this area has become important for Polish economy and society. So currently 11 institutions publish total of 725 resources concerning Ukraine. And here you can see some examples of this data. For example, pupils and students arrived from Ukraine, and these data are published by Ministry of Education and Science, granting the status of the Ukrainian for foreigners. And this data are provided by our Ministry of Digital Affairs, or situation on the border with Ukraine. And this data is published by Border Guard headquarters. Another feature of the portal is submitting of new data proposals. In case when data on certain subjects is not available, users can contact the portal administrator and submit a data proposal. And this procedure is as follows. Firstly, the user completes the form on the portal, and you can see the form here on the right side. Then applications are verified by portal administration. And in fact, we as Open Data team do this. And the last stage is publication of these submitted proposals on the portal. And you can see this submitted proposal on the slide on the left side. And published proposals are visible for all visitors of the portal. So when some institutions has data, the institution can decide to publish this data, and user will have the chance to download it. And the last functionality I would like to say is Open Data Newsletter. Thanks to this feature, registers users receive current information about changes on the portal and upcoming events. It is a form of promoting our data portal and idea of open data. Some examples of open data newsletter are informing about changes in the law or updates of educational materials available on the portal. And now, at the end, I would like to say a few words about what we can change to make the portal function better. And here are some examples. Firstly, we are going to constantly improve the quality of the data and search for new data sources. Especially, we want to acquire data from private providers. and we will achieve this goal by promoting the portal. Further, we are going to cooperate even closer with open data officers, and this can be done by maintaining our regular meetings with them. We are going also to introduce a new feature on the portal, which is a single information point. And this is in accordance with the European Union regulation of European Parliament and Council called Data Governance Act. This single information point will have a mechanism for receiving inquiries or requests for reuse of specific public sector information. And there will be also a functionality to forward these inquiries to appropriate institutions using the contact form. And the technical solution of how to do it is now under development. Probably it will be made available as another tab on our portal. And we also want to systematically add new information materials for visitors of the portal. This includes more multimedia materials and more guides. And the last thing we want to change at the moment on the portal is further development of portal's statistics module. In this regard, we want to more accurately measure the level of downloading data by portal users in each data categories. This will also include measuring high-value data downloads. And that's all the information I wanted to share with you. I know there were a lot of them, but I wanted you to get really acquainted with our open data portal. Thank you very much for your attention. And that's all from my side.
Thank you so much, Conrad. Really, it was such an insightful presentation, and it's great to see how both France and Poland have worked on their portals, not only on the fundability and the usability of data, but also on the editorial content that you are providing and the continuous optimization that you have in mind. And I think that makes me want to jump directly to the Q&A session. I have seen there's been a whole discussion going on. Tana, from your side, you have answered, I think, almost all the questions that have come to your side. I wanted to start maybe with a question goes to both of you, Tana and Conrad. We can maybe start with Conrad. Is there a specific strategy and tools that ensure continuous improvement of the data quality and data content that you have on the portal? You're on mute, Conrad, if you could. Yes.
Okay. So yes, among the previously mentioned functionalities, I believe that data validation process is the most important there. When uploading files to the portal, we have the algorithm I told that checks the structure of the file and displays messages with errors. And thanks to these messages, user has a chance to fix the file. So this will definitely improve quality of the portal, and this also will show data in the tabular view. So I think that data validation here is the answer.
No, that's great to hear. I will then ask the same question to Tana, and maybe Conrad, in the meantime, if you can share, because I saw a question coming, if you can share a link to the standards that you were referring to the presentation to our audience, it will be great. So Tana, the same question for you. Is there a specific strategy and tools that you have on the French portal that ensure the continuous improvement of the data quality and data content?
So in terms of strategy, I think what we're trying to do is to make the data providers quite autonomous in improving their data quality. And how we want to do that is that we want to provide them with the tools that they need, and by providing like some trainings. So in terms of tools, we have one called schema.data.gov.fr that references all the public data schemas that organizations that produce the same type of data can use. So a data schema, I don't know if that's how you say it in English, but we say like schéma de données in French. They're used to describe the structure of the data set, and they clearly indicate like the various fields and what values are possible and the format, so everyone can actually like use the same structure. So for instance, in France, we have like like the schemas for the charging infrastructures for electric vehicles, and we also have one for cycling infrastructures, but we have a lot. In terms of tools, we also have the meta data quality score that I've talked about earlier. We also think that the new data publication process that we are working on will incentivize data providers to better document and provide better documentation on the data sets. I don't think I mean maybe a bit, but I've only quickly mentioned like the discussions and the common sections that we have on the platform where data reusers can give feedbacks on the quality of the data, and that can be a good that can be like a good like basis for data providers to try to improve their data. And last but not least, we also have like handbooks and guides where data providers can learn how to improve the data.
That's that's great to hear, and we're already receiving also extra questions throughout this discussion. One question that I picked up before from our audience is I'm not sure if you're aware of is what portal software are they using? Tana, maybe if you're
Yeah, so I think I replied to it, but we're using UData, which is like a I don't know how to say that in English, but it's open source. And so yeah, I can send you the link of the repository.
Thank you, because yeah, we received this. And Conrad, from your side, do you know what kind of software you use for in the portal?
Yes, we have also open source applications, and I have already answered. I provided a link.
Perfect. And another question that was shared for you, Conrad, has to do about the visualizations. Can all the users create visualizations and save data?
Yes, but the data must be of good quality and have some columns from which the visualization can be done.
Okay. Another question, this time for you, Tana. How you measure the impact of your portal? I know it's a more general question, but
Yeah, I mean, it's a quite tricky question, but I think it's an interesting one. We have like impact, like measurement impact indicators. We know that they're not perfect, but I think that they still like help us knowing if we're going in the right direction. So the impact indicators that are actually associated to the goals that we have and that I've presented. So the first one is to make sure that our portal really helps data discoverability. And for that, we have like a question that pops up when people look for data on the platform, which is, have you found like what you are looking for? And we analyze that to actually know whether we improve data discoverability. Our second goal is to improve data quality. And for that, we use the metadata quality score on the most popular data sets on the platform. Another goal that we have is to make sure that the platform really enhances like the use of open data that is present on the portal. And for that, we measure the time that it takes for data reusers to get replies to their questions on the datasets. And last, like as I was saying, a lot of people come on our platform to find information, even though that's not what we provide in the first place. And we still want to see whether people who come find what, like the information they were looking for. And how we measure that is that we measure the number of like good quality reuses on the most consulted and the most important data sets.
Oh, that's great. And I think on that, what you are mentioning, we have a relevant question, but I think halfway you have answered it. What makes a product considered impactful, and what do you mean by impactful and robust product?
So I think I kind of like reply to that question in the sense that we measure our impact following like the goals that we have set ourselves, and that's how we think that we make impact.
Yeah, and I think also partially you mentioned it with your answer. It is something very specific to define per portal and per team. But thank you very much. I will take also one last question about. This question goes for you, Konrad. Which technical functionality is contributed the most to increasing the data quality on the portal?
I think I have answered and said about the data validation in this case. So it's a technical functionality which provides better and better data quality on portal. And in my presentation, I also said about other verification of data quality, such as built-in mechanism for checking file columns. So I think we have a few such verification tools while users upload data on the portal. Of course, these tools can be used with some formats, not with all formats. The most tools for data verification can be used with formats that include some tabular data, and these are mainly, for example, CSV, XLSX files.
Great. Thank you so much, Konrad. And I think with this we approach to the end of our session. And before closing today's session, I would also like to remind you that this is the last webinar before the summer break. We will get back to you in September. And as you will see, we are working on a lot of different webinars and a lot of different topics on the special trends, data spaces, as well as we will gonna continue our discussion on the Open Data Maturity Report 2022, diving deeper into the policy dimension. So in order to stay tuned on what we are working on, I recommend you to follow us on social media and also subscribe to our newsletter. Then you will be able to see our latest and our upcoming events. And I would like to also close this session by taking a moment to remind you that we will very much appreciate to receive your feedback. It is very important for us to improve our content. So we'll close with this. I will give you a moment to scan this QR code. And in the meantime, I would like to thank today's speakers, Natalia, Tana, Konrad. Thank you so much for your insightful presentations and for the time taking to be here with us. And also thanks to every one of you that is joining us in this summer morning. And enjoy the summer break, and we will see you back in September. Thanks a lot.